Hey, this is what I sound like. So, anyways, Staff of Dreams, am I right? So, yeah, after waiting months for a new update to Fantastic Frontier, and also looking at the weekly pictures on Spectral Block's Twitter, I got the brilliant idea of not actually doing anything I needed to get done, and try my hands at making something Fantastic Frontier related. And what's better than trying to remake the Staff of Dreams? For anyone who doesn't know what the Staff of Dreams is, it's a magic weapon from a game called Fantastic Frontier. What if you don't know what Fantastic Frontier is? Wait, you don't know what Fantastic Frontier is? How the heck did you find this video? Okay, side note here, if you don't know what Fantastic Frontier is, please go play it. If you're looking for an open world RPG, then this is the game for you. Trust me, plenty of people, including me, have probably dumped hundreds of hours into this masterpiece of a game. Okay, anyways, back to the Staff of Dreams. It's a ranged weapon that does more damage the longer you charge it up. It also has a special ability that allows you to call down a lightning strike on your position, which launches you up in the air slightly. Now, this might sound cool on paper, but the weapon itself is pretty mediocre. Throughout the Frontier community, it has a reputation of being one of the worst endgame weapons you can get. It pales in comparison to the other amazing weapons you can acquire, but we'll get into that later. For now, let's address the question that you might be asking, and that is, why would I choose to remake this terrible weapon? I just like it. Personally, I love the design, and I think it's one of the coolest looking weapons in the game. Also, I practically got carried with Celestial's Power spellbook, so the weapons feels like sort of an upgrade to it. Okay, now let's get into how I made it. So, if I wanted to remake the Staff of Dreams, I would first need a model. Instead of risking it and grabbing a free model, I decided to make it myself. I usually make all my stuff in Roblox Studio, but instead I wanted to practice Blender. Now, just a fair warning, I never said I was good at modeling. And plus, I've only used Blender a little bit, so the model won't be perfect. After working on the model for a bit, I've noticed that surprisingly, Blender's a lot of fun to use. Once you learn the basics, you can then mess around and get a good understanding of what everything does. If you ever wanted to expand your modeling skills, I 100% recommend using Blender. Okay, now back to focusing on the Staff of Dreams. Once I stopped procrastinating and finally finished the base model, this actually took me like 5 days to make because I was lazy. I decided that I would do all the coloring and textures in Roblox since it would be a lot easier for me, and at the time I didn't really know how to texture in Blender. Anyways, here's the finished model. Personally, I think I did a pretty decent job. Now it's time for the scripting. Well, sort of. If I were going to do a whole tutorial on how I made the Staff of Dreams, the video would probably be like an hour long. For now, I just wanted to show some highlights of the journey of coding this thing, and oh man, there are some highlights. When I was making the basic attack, I got too excited and tested it without really finishing it. So technically it worked. There was just no damage cap or size cap. Another highlight of working on the Staff of Dreams was making the ability, or also known as the Bolt of Dreams. Surprisingly, it was pretty easy, but the blast jump was the hard part. I used explosion to make the blast, but this happened. After rethinking my decision, I settled on body velocity instead of an explosion. Things were looking pretty good until I forgot to remove the body velocity after a period of time. When I was working on the ability, I guess you could technically call it a bug, I forgot to put a cooldown on it. So you can basically do infinite hops, which was actually kind of cool and it was a lot of fun. And I'd like to dub this technique the bolt jump or dream hopping. And voila! After all the bugs and coding, I have the Staff of Dreams. I think it turned out pretty well. It looked and felt a lot like the Staff of Dreams. Yep, I have the Staff of Dreams. I guess that's the end now. Unless... who said we had to stop here? If the Staff of Dreams is so bad, why not try buffing it ourselves? Before we begin, let's talk about the weapons and tools in the Frontier and what their jobs are. I decided to categorize the items into 3 groups: ranged, close range, and utility. Every weapon fits in a certain category. For example, the Star Gun is the pinnacle of far range. Close range, we have the Frontier Greatsword. And for utility, we have the Funky Driftlander. Each is vastly different and fills a different role, but there are also some other weapons that can fit maybe 2 roles. For example, the Buzzing Sword plays a good role as a close-up utility weapon as it slows enemies on a hit, but the effect isn't as drastic, but it's interesting. Another example is the Eyeball Reckoning. This dagger lets you mark enemies so everyone does extra damage on a specific target. Gunfists are another example. They're great at close range and long range. But there's one weapon I want to talk about, and that's the Gnome Rocket Launcher. It can fire rockets that can deal damage to enemies at range. It also does really well at close range since there's no self-damage from the rockets. Plus, you can rocket jump and travel pretty fast, and the splash damage can handle a crowd of enemies with ease. So where might this go? Right in the center. It's a jack of all trades, and it does everything very well. It's no wonder why it's one of the best weapons in the game. Only downside is ammo, and even that can be negated with the right armor and equipment. Okay, now back to the Staff of Dreams. Where might it fit? Well, it has a ranged attack, the ability is great for close range encounters, and it launches you up in the air. The Staff of Dreams would also fit perfectly in the center, so that means it's as good as the Gnome Rocket Launcher, right? Well, no. It just doesn't work. The problem with the Staff of Dreams is that even though it can qualify for each area, the mechanics of the weapons just hold it back and make it a weird weapon. The charged up attack is best used at range, the ability is extremely strong, and best used in enclosed areas. It also encourages to be spammed since it recharges so quickly, but then that makes the range attack useless. The bolt jump is alright, it's not much height and sometimes it glitches out and doesn't work. All this just makes a strange weapon that wants to be good at everything, but it's just clashing with each other. If the Staff of Dreams was meant to be used as a ranged weapon, then it probably should do the majority of its damage with its primary fire, not its ability. The bolt jump should also launch you higher, just saying. If the weapon's purpose was to spam the ability, then the primary fire is the worst match for it, since you need to charge it to do decent damage. You need space between you and your target. But if the weapon's main purpose was to spam the ability, that limits you to close range only. Most mage playstyles usually want to keep their distance. The bolt jump also should still be higher. So what should happen to the Staff of Dreams to make it viable? Well, quite a few things. First, we should take into account its price. It can be 13 mil or 15 mil. If it's going to cost as much as a frontier weapon, aka one of the best weapons for a class, then it should be really good. But personally, I think the 15 mil should be removed and it should be a weapon you can buy for 13 mil and before the frontier weapons, like how the gun fist is an option to the star gun. Okay, now onto the buffs. I had two ideas in mind. I decided to make two versions of buff staffs of dreams. We have a mobility tool for mages and a staff used for support and crowd control. The green staff is focused around mobility. The blast jump launches you into the air and you get to float around for a bit. During this time, your primary attack charges almost instantly. This staff is focused on keeping your distance and expanding on the blast jump as well as your primary fire. Staff can be kind of like a pseudo vertical mobility tool for mages. Instead of having to bring salamander or gnome rocket launcher, the Staff of Dreams could fill that role while still being able to capitalize on the magic damage from the mage equipment. Now on the other hand is the blue staff, which focuses more on a supportive crowd control type of role. The ability does more damage and hostiles caught in the blast radius will be stunned for a short period of time. Big role for mages, stunning a large wave of enemies can create breathing room for your teammate and can be extremely helpful. The stun also makes it so that mages actually have a chance of escaping when forced to get into close range with enemies. Of course, to nerf this, just in case if it's too overpowered, stuns are halved for bosses. I can really see this being great for enclosed spaces like Tower and Nightmare, where it's extremely claustrophobic and multiple enemies are always attacking you. And for both the staffs, there should be a slight increase in their cooldown timers. And yeah, those are my suggestions on maybe buffing the Staff of Dreams. Well, actually, I have one more. We can just say screw it and make the Staff of Dreams extremely overpowered. I hope this has been entertaining, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. That means a lot to me. This project has taken a lot of time, and I'm even surprised I finished it. I was thinking of scrapping it. I'm just glad it's finally got it out, and thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your support.